again. Dennis Fletcher from Calgary, Alberta. I've had a wonderful day, and I just wanted to update everybody on what's going on in the activist world of legalization of marijuana, of geriatric rights, and the things that I'm involved in. With respect to geriatric rights, we have a government agency. It calls itself here in Alberta, a lot of the healthcare is done by agencies that like to call themselves independents or corporations or whatever the hell they call themselves, businesses. They aren't aware, of course, that the government can't support a business and the business go ahead and do whatever the heck it wants. That the business actually is under the same obligations towards the public that the government is. That's here in Canada. Down in the United States, apparently they hire Blackwater and these guys to do security services, and they can get away with doing things to the American population, apparently. I don't really know about that legal perspective. But I know it's being done on the ground where the boots hit the road, if you will. The United States has agencies that are independents that do things that are the government was at one time responsible for, and those agencies act, at least superficially act, as though they are without any constitutional oversight, court oversight, certainly with respect to the Constitution. Typically the Constitution applies to the government. Here in Canada, our Constitution has been, I know that because I'm a Canadian lawyer, our Constitution has been interpreted in such a manner that if an agency of some sort is receiving money from the government, it may very well be under an obligation to provide the same constitutional rights as the government. Now, I'm not talking about special laws passed by the provinces, the provincial rights, human rights legislation. That's a different, a different legal genre, if you will. Genre. But what I'm saying is that these independent companies providing healthcare services in Canada, certainly here in Alberta, are operating as though they're operating as though they're not under the requirements of the law. They are under the requirements of the law. I'm talking about the law that typically applies to the government, being constitutional law. These agencies, old age, geriatric companies, that's what they are, companies providing geriatric services. They are still under the supervision, legally, in my opinion, under the supervision of the courts through the eyes of the Constitution. Now, why am I saying all this? Basically, I'm saying all this because the particular company, We Care in Calgary, provides people who are essentially the only training that the people I've seen are they're essentially janitors. They can do house cleaning, they can do some cooking and washing dishes. And they come into my house to take care of my 88-year-old mother, and they're trying to dispense medication. I hired We Care. I'm the one who spoke to them and said what it was I wanted, and I never asked them to dispense medication. So when these workers come in here to my home and start dispensing medication and pulling it out of the bubble wrapper, the packs that they're put in by the pharmacist, and and we haven't got it, Mrs. Fletcher, where is your medication? This type of thing, it's none of their business. They're out of their strength. They should be preparing meals and doing some house cleaning. They have no business giving medication out. We Care in Calgary, and I will name the business, We Care in Calgary, is just one of many of these home care businesses that are using people that are not trained to give out medication. You can't go into a hospital. They're not going to give you an orderly. He's not going to be handing out medication on a hospital ward, to my knowledge anyway. It requires someone who's trained to hand out medication under the supervision of a registered nurse. A phone call by a We Care worker to the registered nurse is not supervision of the registered nurse. So I told both the workers, because there's two workers, I told them both, do not touch my mother's medication. I was that close to firing them on the spot. But I'm going to leave it alone and see whether or not We Care can provide the services that it says it's providing. Again, once again, we're dealing with the words, I will do X, Y, Z, and the actions, which are a paltry little mediocre ABC. I don't mind you doing ABC. I don't mind you being mediocre. But don't claim that you are the top prepared, trained workers. All that's, don't claim that, because it's not. They're not. These people do not know what they're doing when it comes to certain areas, specifically medication and medical care. I actually hired this company to bring someone in here to work my mom's legs because she's weak. She's in a wheelchair. I have yet to have that instituted. It's been well over 3 months. My mother is still in the wheelchair. She's still not getting the exercise that she needs. She has drop foot. She needs exercise to keep that drop foot from tightening up. It can be quite a problem. And that's why I have We Care. That's why I engaged We Care. That's why I spoke to the government to get this run through the program. The government representative, the geriatric nurse for this area. What we have is someone coming in and doing something that I never asked them to do. So I told them yesterday they were not going to do that, or the day before. And it is something that I want to put into the public. Folks, if you have someone here taking care of you in Calgary, they're one of these independent companies, watch what's going on, because these people are not necessarily trained. Just because you have a geriatric nurse back at the office doesn't mean that the people who are coming out to take care of your mother, your father, your uncle, aunt, grandmother, sister, whoever it is who's being taken care of, does not mean that they're being taken care of properly just because one of these agencies in Calgary are taking care of them. That's my rant for the day. You can see why geriatric rights and activism is something that's important to me. I'm 51 years old. Guys, everyone who's listening to this is going to have this issue. It's going to be in your face. When you're 70 years old here in Calgary, here in Alberta, you're 70 years old, you've been married for 40 years, and you get into a retirement home of some sort run by the government, and one of the two of you becomes too sick to be in that milieu. They have protocols of who they will accept and who they will keep in these homes. They will split out a couple who's been married 40 years. They will split them up, send the one who's sick to a different institution. They will split you up. That's what's going on in the medical care system here in Calgary, geriatric care. Now, the people who are working in it don't have the money. I understand that. But the government should be doing something about it. And that's my rant for the day. Let's keep this stuff in front of us. Let's remember what's going on. Let's ask questions, especially if you have a person coming in to take care of your geriatric loved one. Ask questions. Find out. Who is this person? Do they have the ability to distribute the drugs? They probably don't. Find out. Take care of yourself. No one else is going to. Thank you. This is Dennis Fletcher from Calgary.